You know, when people look at my life from the outside, they usually just see a few labels. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. Bill Gates, billionaire. Bill Gates, big foundation, big projects, big numbers. From a distance, it's easy to imagine the story is one long ladder of upgrades. Bigger house, bigger office, bigger plane, bigger everything, as if the whole point of making money is spending as much as possible and proving you have it. But that is not what built the wealth. That is not what protects it. And it is definitely not what gives you peace of mind. The real power, the thing that changed my life and could change yours, sounds much more boring than the headlines. It is the power of living below your means. That idea doesn't sound exciting. It doesn't sound like a movie title, but when I look back from my childhood in Seattle to building Microsoft, to the years I've spent on global health and education, that simple idea shows up over and over again. I grew up in an upper middle class family. My dad was a lawyer. My mom did community work and served on nonprofit boards. We never went without what we needed, but my parents were careful. They spent on things that mattered, education and books, not flashy status symbols. They taught us money is a tool, not a scorecard. And you don't buy something just because you can. You ask whether it's really worth it. When I was a teenager at Lakeside School, I met the thing that would shape my entire life. Computer terminal connected to a time-sharing system. It was expensive to use. A group of us became obsessed. We made deals to get more computer time. We found bugs for companies in exchange for hours on the machine. We weren't chasing fancy lifestyles. We were investing our time and energy into learning to program. That didn't pay off right away in dollars. It paid off in skills and understanding. It was an early form of living below our means, not in money, but in comfort. We chose long nights in the computer room over easier, more glamorous teenage options. Later, when Paul Allen and I started Microsoft, the same pattern continued. We moved to Albuquerque because that's where the opportunity was. The office was basic, the furniture was cheap, the hours were long. We wrote code, fixed bugs, shipped products, repeated. There were no luxury perks. There was no thinking, I built something, so now I should upgrade my lifestyle to match. Every extra bit of momentum went into growing the company, not growing my image. When Microsoft moved back to the Seattle area and really started to take off, I didn't flip a switch and start living like a movie character. Most days looked boring from the outside. I read memos. I reviewed products. I met with teams. I traveled for work. I wore simple clothes. I drove myself around. For many years after becoming a millionaire, and even after becoming a billionaire on paper, when Microsoft went public in 1986, my lifestyle stayed simple compared to what I technically could have afforded. Yes, eventually I bought a larger house on Lake Washington. I lived there for decades. It's a beautiful place. But here's the key point. Relative to my net worth, that house and everything in it is a tiny fraction. If I wanted my lifestyle to match the image people attach to the word billionaire, I could try to own multiple mansions, fleets of cars, private islands, all of it. I chose not to because that isn't what I value. Living below your means is not about pretending to be poor. It's about the gap between what you could spend and what you actually spend. If you can afford a $1 million lifestyle and you choose a $100,000 lifestyle, you are living below your means. If you can afford $50,000 a year and you spend $55,000, you are living above your means. The number matters less than the gap. That gap, that space between income and spending, is where your freedom lives. You can make a lot of money and still be trapped. You can make a modest amount and be free. The difference isn't the size of the paycheck. The difference is what you do with the gap. If you make $50,000 and spend $30,000, you have $20,000 left. If you make $50,000 and spend $50,000, you have nothing left. If you make $50,000 and spend $55,000, you are in debt. That extra $20,000 isn't just extra cash, it is the seed for everything that comes later. The safety net, the opportunity fund, the engine of compound interest. In my life, that gap grew very large over time. Microsoft grew into a huge company. My net worth on paper grew into the tens of billions, and then over 100 billion, but my personal spending didn't grow at the same speed. I didn't expand my lifestyle to match every new dollar of wealth. I kept simple routines. I read a lot. I thought a lot. I worked a lot. I cared far more about what we were building than what I was buying. Because of that, there was a large and growing space between what I could have spent on myself and what I actually spent. Most of that space went into investments and then later into philanthropy. That's what gave me the ability to say something that matters a lot to me now. I will give away virtually all of my wealth. Over the first 25 years of the Gates Foundation, we already gave away more than $100 billion. Now, I've set a clear deadline. Over the next 20 years, I plan to give away almost everything that is left. The foundation will spend more than $200 billion between now and the end of 2045, and then close its doors. I've said clearly, I do not want to die rich. I want those resources working in the world, solving problems in global health, fighting diseases like malaria and polio, improving education, reducing child deaths, and giving more people a chance at a healthy, productive life. That decision is a direct result of living below my means for decades. If I had spent my life trying to live in the most expensive possible way, there'd be nothing near that scale to give away. But zoom back from the billions, because the basic principle works the same way. At normal income levels, living below your means has a very simple definition. You spend less than you make. If you make $50,000 a year, you spend 40 or 35 or 30. If you make $500,000 a year, you design your life so it doesn't require $500,000 just to stay afloat. It sounds simple. In theory, it is simple, but modern life pushes people the other direction. Advertising tells you you are what you buy. Social media shows you a carefully selected highlight reel of other people's best moments and most expensive purchases. Credit cards and easy loans whisper you can have what you want now and worry about the cost later. So a lot of people fall into the same pattern. Income goes up, lifestyle goes up, savings stay near zero. That is the lifestyle treadmill. You graduate, get your first job, and suddenly you have more money than before. So you move to a nicer apartment, upgrade your phone, eat out more, travel a little, then you get a raise, So you upgrade again, bigger place, better car, more subscriptions, fancier vacations. On the outside, it looks like progress. On the inside, you're still one paycheck or one setback away from serious stress. That's what living right at your limit does. It removes your margin. It turns life into a permanent balancing act. Living below your means does the opposite. It builds margin between you and disaster. It builds space to think and choose. It creates fuel for compounding. Let's talk about compounding plainly, because this is where the math becomes powerful. Imagine you decide to save and invest $10,000 a year every year, and you earn an average return of around 10%. After 1 year, that first 10,000 becomes 11,000. After 10 years, you put in 100,000, but it grows to roughly 175,000. After 30 years, you've contributed 300,000, but the balance is close to 2 million. You didn't win the lottery. You lived below your means. You created a gap and invested it. Time and compounding did the rest. In my case, the numbers were bigger, but the logic was the same. Microsoft stock appreciated. I held it a long time. I didn't sell huge amounts to fund a gigantic personal lifestyle. I let most of the value sit where it could grow. Later, when I sold more, it was to fund the foundation, not to buy more things. The same principle can change your life on a smaller, still meaningful scale. Now, if you want to live below your means in a real practical way, a few habits help. First, you have to know where your money's going. In business, we don't make decisions without data. Don't try to fix your financial life without data either. For 1 or 2 months, write down every expense, rent or mortgage, food, transport, insurance, debt payments, but also coffee, snacks, rideshare trips, streaming services, in-game purchases, the little things you buy when you're bored or stressed. At the end of the month, look at the list without excuses. You'll find patterns you didn't realize were there. Small daily habits often add up to large amounts. Second, separate needs from wants. Needs are what you must have to live and function: food, shelter, basic clothing, healthcare, some way to get to work or school. Wants are everything else. The nicer car, the bigger place, brand name, clothes, constant upgrades. The latest phone, the day it comes out, the expensive vacation every year. There's nothing wrong with wants. Life isn't supposed to be miserable, but if you treat every want like a need, you'll never create a gap. Living below your means means telling yourself the truth. I want this, but I don't need it. I could afford this right now, but if I wait and invest instead, my future will be stronger. I don't have to match what I see in other people's photos. Third, flip the usual order of saving and spending. Most people spend first and save last. If anything is left, you want to save first and spend what is left. Maybe that's 10% at the beginning, maybe 20% later. When you get raises or promotions, increase the percentage. Instead of increasing your lifestyle, every time your income rises and your spending doesn't rise with it, you widen the gap and strengthen your future. Fourth, be careful with debt. Some debt can be a tool. A reasonable mortgage for a house you can genuinely afford. Student loans for education that truly improves earning power. But a lot of debt isn't that. High interest credit cards, buy now, pay later plans, loans for cars that are more about image than transportation. That's lifestyle inflation, financed by your future self. Every payment you commit to is a claim on your future time and energy. Before you say yes, ask, do I want to keep working extra hours a year from now so I can still be paying for this thing? I'm excited about today. Fifth, find joy in things that don't require constant spending. For me, some of the happiest things are simple. Reading a good book, long conversations with smart, curious people, playing bridge or other games with friends, walking and thinking, seeing a project move from idea to impact. Those don't require an extreme lifestyle. They require time and attention and sometimes a little travel. But they aren't about keeping up with fashion or trends. If you build a life around people and activities that make you happy without constant upgrades, it becomes much easier to live below your means. You stop tying joy to consumption. Now, let me add one more layer. Living below your means isn't just about protecting yourself. It also creates the possibility of helping others. In my case, because I lived far below what I could have spent, I can put serious resources into childhood disease, education, and poverty. The foundation plans to spend more than $200 billion between now and 2045 and then close its doors. That money is aimed at reducing preventable child deaths, eradicating diseases like malaria and polio, improving education, and helping people adapt to climate change. You don't need billions to make a difference. If you live below your means, you may be able to help a family member in trouble, support a local charity you care about, fund a scholarship in your community, or simply avoid becoming a financial burden to the people you love when you're older. It all starts in the same place. Spend less than you earn so your money can do more than pass through your hands. And here's a simple picture of what this looks like day to day. Even now, with all the resources I have, I still do the dishes at home at night. I mentioned it in an online question and answer session years ago. Standing at the sink with warm water and a sponge is a quiet way to end the day, clear the mind, and remember, I'm not above ordinary responsibilities. I also wear very simple watches, often models that cost a tiny fraction of what many wealthy people wear. Those choices don't make headlines, but they reflect the same mindset. You're not trying to display your money, you're trying to direct it. So let me bring this together. Living below your means is not about fear. It is not about deprivation. It is not about never buying anything nice. It is about control over your time, control over your choices, control over your future. If you spend every dollar you earn, that control belongs to other people. Your employer, your creditors, the next bill that arrives, if you consistently spend less than you earn and invest the difference, slowly but surely that control shifts back to you. In my life, that habit started early, long before billions were involved. It helped me build Microsoft without being owned by lifestyle pressure. It allowed my wealth to compound instead of being drained away, and it gave me the ability to spend the second half of my life working on things that matter deeply instead of chasing more for myself. For you, it can mean the ability to say no when you need to, the ability to change careers without panic, the ability to take a risk on something you believe in, the ability to sleep a little better at night. It comes back to one choice: spend less than you make. So as you finish listening, do something concrete. Pick one specific step to start living more below your means. Maybe you track every expense for the next month. Maybe you cancel one subscription and move that money straight into savings. Maybe you decide your next raise won't change your lifestyle at all. It will go into investments. Maybe you set up an automatic transfer, even a small one, into an account. Your future self will thank you for whatever it is. Make it real. Write it down. Tell someone, start now in a small way, then keep going. If this message helped you, share it with someone who is stressed about money or stuck on the lifestyle treadmill. Subscribe so you don't miss future talks about money, freedom, and building a life you actually control. And leave a comment with the change you're going to make. Saying it out loud is often the first real step. Live below your means. Let time and compounding work for you, not against you. Your future self, calmer, freer, and much less stressed, will be very glad you did